This plan alone will create about 60,000 jobs right across the country. Through the Canada Infrastructure Bank, this 3-year growth plan will invest in everything from clean power, zero-emission buses and home retrofits to broadband and irrigation infrastructure for farmers. This is a win-win. With smart, targeted investments, we can get people back on the job and grow the economy while building a healthy, sustainable future.
So Canada's slow-moving infrastructure bank is getting a fresh restart. Today, as you just saw, the federal government announced a 3-year growth plan to create what they say will be 60,000 new jobs focused on things like broadband access, energy retrofits, and agricultural infrastructure. Check this out. Now, here's the price tag of the $10 billion. $2 billion will go to broadband internet. That's the big investment. Another $2 billion to large-scale retrofits. $2.5 billion to clean power generation, transmission, and storage. $1.5 billion goes to agriculture products, including irrigation in Western Canada. $1.5 billion going to zero-emission buses and charging stations, and another $500 million to accelerate projects already under construction. Now, here's the thing. This is not new money. It comes from the already pre-given $35 billion that was set aside when the infrastructure bank was first announced 3 years ago in 2017. Since that time, barely $4 billion has been invested. So what will change? How fast will the money get out the door? Let's find out. Joining me now is the Infrastructure Minister, Catherine McKenna. I always say we've known each other before she got into politics. Good to see you, Minister. Why has it taken 3 years to redo the infrastructure bank, and now what will change to get money out the door a lot quicker?
Well, look, the infrastructure bank had to be set up. It took a while to get set up. It's invested in projects. People in Montreal are well aware of the REM project that is being built right now, a massive public transit project creating good jobs. But look, when Michael Sabia came in, he's the new chair of the Canada Infrastructure Bank. He came in March. He and I had a conversation about how we needed to move quickly. It became even more apparent with the pandemic that it's not just a health crisis, it's an economic crisis. And so, you know, the bank has worked really hard to come up with a plan with focus. And I think focus is always important. You need to know where are the key areas to invest, what are going to have dividends in the short term, like jobs and growth. And in the longer term, if you look at where we're investing, the digital economy through broadband, but also a cleaner future, from everything from clean power to retrofits to electric buses, and looking at irrigation. And I think that's also something that should be of interest to a lot of folks in the prairies, where we know that irrigation is critical to our farmers, to the ranchers, and this is really a huge opportunity for Canada, our agri-food sector. So this is intended to show a real vision and also recognize that we're in a different stage. We're in a pandemic. We've got to get things going, got to get things built, we've got to create jobs, and then we have to be aligned with our longer-term outcomes.
Okay, speed, look, the bank's clearly been redesigned because things weren't getting out the door, and you appointed Michael Sabia to do that. But you're also expanding the definition of infrastructure. For example, how wide could that go? Could the money go to social causes as it relates to COVID-19? I don't know, seniors facilities, childcare spaces, homeless shelters. Will all those things be classified as, quote, infrastructure?
Well, I mean, I think they all are infrastructure. Whether they're suitable for the Canada Infrastructure Bank is a different thing. So if you're wondering if you're someone who's wondering, like, what is this bank? I mean, it's intended to bring in the private sector. So for every taxpayer dollar, we go out, work with the private sector to make it $2 or $3. That just means we can get more infrastructure built, and we really need to do that. We need infrastructure across the country. And so the focus is on what are infrastructure projects that would be suitable for private sector investment. We have committed to investing and are investing in housing, in affordable childcare, in a whole range of areas. This is just another tool in our toolbox that we need to use, because right now we're just leaving money on the table. And so we need to bring in the private sector, and we need to be innovative, and we need to move fast. And I will tell you, Michael Sabia is a man of action, and so you're going to see projects being announced shortly.
Okay, we'll wait. Only 9 projects in the first 3 years. We'll see what happens. But I'm just intrigued. I understand public-private partnerships, but why does Ottawa need to be involved? If investment is so good in Canada, they've got sovereign wealth funds, you've got pension funds, lots of investing groups want to invest in infrastructure. Why do they need the Canadian government to make the investment. A lot of investors will say, you know what we need from the Canadian government? We don't need your small money. What we need is you to be in the regulations business, to get out of the way, to allow things to be built smoother. That's what the opposition has said about pipelines. So why get into the investment game and not stay in the regulation game?
Because we're using one taxpayer dollar to attract more dollars. And how does it work? That sometimes it's about governments assuming risk. It's about new financing models. It's about government showing a clear vision for the private sector. Because right now we have private sector money that's going to invest in infrastructure projects in other countries. I think we need to be showing that we're serious and what are the real opportunities. And for taxpayers, as I say, this is good value for money, because for every dollar spent, you'll get $3. And I often hear from the opposition, well, why would you do this? We're going to get rid of the bank. Would you want more infrastructure built, or would you want less infrastructure built? We need world-class infrastructure.
Okay, just so I want to make sure I understand that. And I know you say for every dollar, yeah, the taxpayer, the government puts in, you get $2. But, you know, there is a concern, for example, that what happens is the profits of any infrastructure go to the private companies. And, you know, there's this notion that private companies like to socialize their losses, and the government comes and bails them out and privatize their gains. The taxpayer invests and they run off with the profits. Will Canadians get any payback on this?
Yeah, you know what Canadians will get us payback? We need more, we need affordable high-speed broadband across the country as soon as possible. That the plan will include making sure that 750,000 Canadians have access to high-speed internet quickly. We need to be doing that. It's about retrofits. How do we build a retrofit economy? How do we create more construction jobs? How do we have businesses save money by paying less when it comes to their heating bills? We need more renewable energy. This is a huge opportunity for Canada. And if you look at what we're seeing, you've seen Ford Motor Company saying, yeah, we want to be here in Canada. We want to be building electric vehicles. These are the kind of opportunities that we need. And we can't do this alone. I don't think anyone thinks government should solve every problem. We need to be making sure that the private sector is there as a partner in projects that are suitable, where we get returns for Canadians. And that's what our focus is. That is certainly the focus of the Canada Infrastructure Bank. And I think this plan is a serious plan. It's also a serious plan for the times that we live in, where it's focused on creating jobs in the short term, looking at projects that can go quickly, but also making sure we're aligned with the longer-term outcomes. We need economic growth, and we need to be serious about moving to a low-carbon future, which is a $1 trillion opportunity itself.
Okay, last question to you, Minister. The Prime Minister and you talked about this is creating 60,000 jobs. I'd like to know where you came up with that figure. You don't even know what projects are going to be invested in. How did you all come up with creating 60,000 new jobs in 3 years? Where's that from?
Well, so the bank has been spending a lot of time with different players in different industries and looking at what has happened in other countries. So you take retrofits. We know that retrofits creates good jobs. It's construction jobs, it's planning jobs, it's material jobs. So you can go across the board. They've looked at each opportunity and how do you create jobs through there? And they're going to be tracking it. We're going to be holding them to account. But investments in infrastructure are actually the best way to get economic growth and best way to create jobs. And we need jobs right now. I know that's what Canadians are talking about.
I understand investment is a job I understand investment in infrastructure is a job multiplier. I'm just trying to figure out, how did your government come up with the number 60,000 jobs? Will you release a report of where that target figure came from?
Well, so this is actually the Infrastructure Bank that came up with those numbers. To look at how do you get jobs when you retrofit buildings? How do you get jobs when you invest in renewable energy? How do you get jobs when you invest in irrigation? How do you get jobs when you invest in broadband? And this is what we need. We need jobs. We need jobs across the country. And what is also really good is that the bank has thought about how do we make sure that we're bringing in opportunities for every single province? Because I'm the infrastructure minister for all Canadians, and I think that this is a really great plan. It's focused, it's realistic, it's going to have real returns, returns on investment in jobs, in economic growth, and as I say, also equally important, which is moving to a low-carbon future. That's where the opportunities are, and that's why I'm very excited about today's announcement, and stay tuned, there are more announcements to come.
All right, I got to leave it there today. Minister McKenna, always good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Great to be on the show.